you were this crazy maverick,
Indeed.
fighting the system. And, perhaps on some level, you're still doing that, although I would imagine the reception is a little bit more welcoming.
Correct. Very perceptive on your part. The first part of my lecture, and I want to talk science to these young students. And so I've got it's sort of a two-pronged attack here. One is to convince them that food has anything to do with these diseases. Again, it's usually etiology unknown. The autoimmune disease, we don't know why the body attacks itself, but the smart guys at NIH are working 24/7, and when they come up with the answer, they'll design a mesocyllin and give it to us to restore patients to perfect health. Well, that's not going to happen. And so I showed them slides of what happens to their blood after they eat rice and beans and greens, and what happens to their blood after they eat a cheeseburger and a milkshake. And I show them all the fat in the blood and all the inflammatory proteins, all the things that percolate through the system hour after hour. Not only that, but month after month, year after year. And I tell them, then we're shocked when inflammation appears in the body. We're puzzled when the arteries start plaquing up with atherosclerosis. We can't figure out why the guy's joints erupted with autoimmune arthritis. And certainly that colon cancer that popped out of the colon, gee, that was just bad luck, bad genes. Well, nonsense. It's the food. It's the food. It's what they're eating. These diseases are not supposed to happen spontaneously. It's the fuel we're putting through the system. We've been putting diesel fuel through a gasoline burning engine, and
Right.
we get all this dysfunction. So my first task is just to make the connection between food and disease
Right.
and health if you do it right. And then we move delicately into the issue of animal-based foods versus plant-based foods and how fundamentally the diet changes. When you put a piece of animal flesh into the intestinal tract 2 or 3 times a day, you're going to change everything from the flora, from the bacteria that live in the gut, to the chemistry of the blood, to what you're smearing on the colon wall, to the leakiness of the intestinal wall that you create that leads to autoimmune disease. It changes everything. And it's politically dicey. A lot of folks and a lot of the students and their professors are into paleo diets, etc. But I said, listen, we're basically plant-eating creatures. Our simian ancestors have been on this planet for 20 million years, eating leaves and fruits. Our bonobo and gorilla cousins are up in the trees today eating leaves and fruits. Basically, we were plant-eating creatures. And as long as we eat a plant-predominant diet, you don't have to be 100% vegan, but at the majority of what goes down your gullet is whole plant foods, leaves and greens and fruits and vegetables, your body's going to thrive on that. And we talk about disease reversal. In fact, I put that concept up on the slide, disease reversal. I was a physician 45 years before anybody even put those two words in the same sentence for me, that these are reversible diseases. These are the diabetes and the high blood pressure and the inflammatory arthritis. These diseases go away with a healthy diet. And so towards the end, I put up a fairly controversial set of slides where I showed them the list of the classic diseases, diabetes, hypertension, etc. And with another click of the slide, the words reversible comes on. These are all reversible diseases. And then the most controversial slide I put up, I click it and I said, "You want to heal these patients or don't you? I mean, really, why did you go into medicine? Want to heal these people? Then get real about what they're eating, because that's why they're sitting in front of you." We've been treating the patient's diet like in the Harry Potter movies, Voldemort, the name that must not be spoken. Ooh, don't ask what the patient's eating. We're Americans. We can eat whatever we want. Yeah, but your arteries got something to say about that. Your prostate gland's got something to say about that. Your intestinal tract's got something to say about it. Your doctor's got something to say about it because he's going or she's going to be dealing with the consequences of that. And so let's get real about what the patient's eating because it's such a powerful factor. So I've got these powerful concepts to wheel in during the course of my slide presentation, but it's a bit easier, as you implied, because now we're in 2020, And in every first, second, third year medical school class now, there's 20 or 30 students. They've seen movies like Forks Over Knives.
Right.
They've seen What the Health. They've seen Cowspiracy. The lights on. They
Uh-huh.
get that there's something to this nutrition thing.
They caught you in probably the most memeable, quotable scene in all of was it What the Health or Cowspiracy where you said what
Cowspiracy.
it what dairy is
Cow's milk is baby calf growth fluid.
Yeah,
That's
right.
what this stuff is.
That has traveled far and wide across the
Indeed,
internet.
I'm going to have a T-shirt made up with
Yeah.
that. People
Here's
go
the
to-
guy who said it
Indeed,
right in front of us.
And so in that way, it's a little easier. There's often allies in the audience among the students,
Mhm.
but there's always a bunch of professors in the back of the room with their arms folded and their tongues going cluck cluck. But they'll either get on board or they'll be pushed aside. This
Mm.
wave is breaking. There's
Mhm.
no stopping it. Food is really where it's at as far as healing goes, and modern medicine has to
Right.
account
So
for that.
essentially the student body, these younger people are much more receptive to it than the institution itself. But the
Absolutely.
institution, is the one that green lights you to come and speak in the first place. So there has to be some amenability to what you have to share.
Yes, although you brought up an interesting point that the administration of these medicals, they don't want to hear from Dr. Clapper. The message is disruptive.
A lot of eye rolling
It
and
breaks their models.
Uh-huh.
And so we go right to the students. We have
they're
them-
the ones
They're
that
the ones.
get
They
you on.
invite
I
me in.
see.
They arrange, they reserve the lecture hall. They arrange for the Indian restaurant to bring over the samosas for lunchtime rounds. And so we go dealing right with the students. And we ask them to form a nutrition interest group. So after I leave, so it's not a one-time drive-by lecture. They start a nutrition interest group, and once a month I'll Skype in. We'll talk about nutrition-based cases. We'll keep the light on as far as their awareness how important